Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajapacharya Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the Summa devotees, all glories to the Summa devotees, all glories to the Summa devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to the Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, fourth canto, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, chapter 27, Attack by Chandavega on the city of Pranjan, from the text 14. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Gandharvyas tadrashir asya Maitunyascha sita sitaha Parivritya vilumpanti Sarvakama vinirmitam Gandharvyas tadrashir asya Maitunyascha sita sitaha Parivritya vilumpanti Sarvakama Vinirmitam Kandarvyastadrishir Asya Maitunyascha Sitasataha Parivritya Vilumphanti Sarvakama Kama Vinirmitam
Gandharvyastat Rishirasya Maitunyasya Siddhasda Parivritya Vinampanti Sarvakama Vinirmitam Gandharvyastat Rishirasya Maitunyasya Parivritya Vinampanti Sarvakama Vinirmitam
Gandhavyaha Gandharvis Tadrishihi similarly Asya of Chanda Vega Maitunyaha companions for sexual intercourse. Cha also. Sita white. Asitaha black. Parivritya by surrounding. Vilumpanti they plundered. Sarvakama all kinds of desirable objects. Vinirmitam manufactured. Translation. Along with Chandavega were as many female Gandharvis as there were soldiers, and all of them repetitively plundered all the paraphernalia for sense enjoyment. Purport. The days have been compared to the soldiers of Chandavega. Night is generally a time for sex enjoyment. Days are considered to be white, and nights are considered to be black. Or, from another point of view, there are two kinds of nights, black nights and white nights. All these days and nights combine to pass away our lifespan, to pass away our span of life and everything we manufacture for sense gratification. Material activity means manufacturing things for sense gratification. Scientists are conducting research to find out how we can satisfy our senses more and more elaborately. In this Kali Yuga, the demoniac mentality is employed in manufacturing various machines to facilitate the process of sense gratification. There are so many machines for ordinary household activities. There are machines for washing dishes, cleansing the floor, shaving, clipping hair. Today, everything is done by machine. All these facilities for sense gratification are described in this verse as sarva kama vinirmitam. The time factor, however, is so strong that not only is our span of life being expended, but all the machines and facilities for sense gratification are deteriorating. Therefore, in this verse, the word vilumpanti, plundering, is used. Everything is being plundered from the very beginning of our lives. This plundering of our possessions and lifespan begins with the day of our birth. One day will come when death will finish everything, and the living entity will have to enter another body to begin another chapter of life, and again begin the cycle of material sense gratification. Prahlad Maharaj describes this process as Punascharvananam from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, Text 30. Materialistic life means chewing the chewed again and again. The central point of material life is sense gratification. In different types of bodies, the living entity enjoys various senses, and through creating various types of facilities, he chews the chewed. Whether we squeeze sugar out of the sugar cane with our teeth or a machine, the result is the same, sugarcane juice. We may discover many ways to squeeze the juice out of the sugarcane, but the result is the same. Om Jnanati Vedandasya Gadanjana Shalakaya Chakshulamaditamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bukam Karitvachalam Pangam Langayate Gadim Yatkripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinitarinam Vancha Kapudirubhishcha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I read the translation again. Along with Chandavega were as many female Gandharvis as there were soldiers, and all of them repetitively plundered all the paraphernalia for sense enjoyment. So the three modes of material nature are three gunas, right? Daivi, Hesha, Gunamayi, Mamamaya, Dhratya, Mameve, Prapadyante, Mayame, Tantrantite. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that these three modes are very difficult to overcome. But he says, but those who surrender unto me, Krishna says, can easily cross beyond them. And those modes are sometimes, in different sections of Srila Prabhupada's books, he describes them, in different ways. And sometimes he describes them as, or he defines them as ropes. The ropes that bind the soul, bind the living entity. to certain ways of thinking, certain ways of acting, and certain desires. So, but if one is able to surrender to Krishna, then one can surpass those modes of material nature. And also, the modes of material nature, it's a state of, you could say, or material existence is a state of, say, like intoxication. So people are intoxicated by the modes of material nature. I mean, the whole society practically is just based on intoxication in different forms, different ways of trying to escape the anxiety, the fear, the pain of existence. They're trying to escape. So, I mean, people every morning, I mean, a lot of people, they can't even function without drinking coffee. It's a big business. Starbucks is huge. It's absolute. It's you could say like a monstrous corporation, Starbucks. And yeah, so it's like kind of getting wired up to try to battle the day, right? Try to achieve what they're trying to achieve. So it's a state of intoxication, or illicit sex. I mean, it's a state of intoxication. Everything that goes with that, the whole package that goes with that. It's a state of bewilderment, state of intoxication. And gambling. So all of these things, they're intoxicating, they're bewildering, and people do them to try to again forget about the fear, about the pain, about the frustrations of life. And in that state, they also forget about one very important thing, right? Atma Tattva. They don't inquire. They don't inquire into who they are. What is this world? Who's God? They don't inquire. But they have so many things, right, to inquire about. What's that shloka? Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nirdam Santa Sahasra Saha Apashyatam Atma Tattvam Griheshu Grihamedinam. So materialistic people, of course, the Bhagavatam says materialistic householders. Are materialistic people. They have so many things to hear about. Thousands of things. Millions of things. And now it's just increasing with the advent of technology. And there's so much to hear. I mean, it's just like it's an ocean of information. So, but they don't inquire Atma Tattva. They don't inquire into the nature of who they are. These higher subjects. So yeah, that's from our perspective, or from the perspective of the Bhagavatam. It's a big problem actually, because they're trying to, in so many ways, trying to be happy and trying to be satisfied, trying to be successful, but from the point of the Bhagavatam, it's just chewing the chewed. In other words, what they get out of it is not actually what they want. But in the state of illusion, in the state of madness, they can't see that. Apashyatam atmatapam griheshu grihamedam. They can't see it. So yeah, it's very problematic. And just like take, for example, people drinking alcohol. Now, maybe some of you have done that here. I hope that there's at least some who haven't, but I think there's some. I don't want to put them on the put them on the spot. I know of a few devotees who haven't, but but in that state of intoxication caused by alcohol, it really puts one in a completely different state than they usually are. They'll say certain things, they'll do certain things that they would never do while they're sober. And then sometimes they do those things, they say those things, and then they regret it later. And people sometimes even tell them, oh, you did this, or you said this, or you said that, and they go, oh, really? Like they forgot, they're so intoxicated. But part of that intoxication is that you actually, even physically, you can't feel certain pains at the time of intoxication. For example, someone may lock themselves out of their house, and then they're drunk, and then in order to get in, because they're drunk, they do something stupid. They hit their window with their fist. There's break the window, and there's blood there, but they don't feel it. They don't feel it in that state of intoxication. Later they feel it. So sometimes, there was a case of a guy who actually did that. It was really bad, actually, but you brought up so many examples in your last class, which was Thursday, about strange ways, or say stupid ways, or humiliating ways people die. So this guy who was drunk, he hit the window, and there was blood everywhere. And then he went to his house, and he was so drunk he just bled to death. So yeah, he can't. He's in a state of intoxication, can't think straight. That's also part of being intoxicated by this world. That's the beauty, that's the blessing, that's the need of having a spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is not intoxicated by this world. Therefore, he could think straight. Therefore, he could give us direction. Whereas the disciples, by nature, sometimes, they don't think straight. So therefore, Guru's there, to straighten them out. So yeah, in that drunken state, people, they don't feel certain things that they would normally feel. Now, sometimes people, they come to Krishna consciousness and they think, oh, I'm not feeling it, right? I'm not feeling the bhav, I'm not feeling the pleasure, I'm not feeling the happiness of Krishna consciousness. Then we could say that this is due to the lingering effects, or maybe sometimes not lingering effects, maybe sometimes the real effects of intoxication from the modes of material nature, from so many material desires, so many aspirations, and one's not feeling the happiness of Krishna consciousness. So what's the idea? The idea is that one should become sober, right? At the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Dehinosmin. This is one of the verses that the devotees learn, one of the first verses. Dehinosmin yata dehe komaram yavanam jara tata dehantara praptidiras tatra namuiti. So as the embodied soul continually passes in this body, from boyhood to youth to old age, similarly, the soul passes into another body at the time of death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So, dhira. There's a sober person. So, one should become a dhira, a sober person, and this way, one could actually feel what they're supposed to feel. Namely, the happiness of Krishna. There's supposed to be a feeling there, actually. It's not that we chant and we serve and we offer obeisances and we do so many things and there's no feeling. There's supposed to be a feeling there. A transcendental rasa, transcendental exchange happening. And if that's not there, then that could be that's an indication that there's some work to be done in relation to us becoming not intoxicated by this world in so many different ways. And how do we become a dhira? How do we become undisturbed? Does anyone remember what it says in the Shush Upanishad? Some of the younger devotees, it specifically mentions a very. Anyways, I remember it there sticking out to me. But does anyone remember? Haven't read Shush Upanishad. Shush Upanishad is a great book, by the way. Maybe we should refresh. But it says in the Shush Upanishad. One becomes a dhira, undisturbed person, by hearing from the undisturbed authorities. So that's how one becomes a dhira. So to lend our ear, to lend our time to Srila Prabhupada and his sold-out devotees, this is how we become a dhira. We become undisturbed. Because after all, we are, the living entities are pleasure-seeking beings. We're pleasure-seeking beings. And if the pleasure, that we have to have pleasure, it's part of us. We can't get around it. So knowing that, we could try to dedicate ourselves and try to develop or awaken our Krishna consciousness, which Krishna wants. Krishna's waiting for that. And in this way, we could derive our pleasure from the real life. It means Krishna consciousness, instead of trying to derive pleasure in so many illusory ways. So, in this intoxication, Prabhupada says chewing the chewed. Now, if we think about this, chewing the chewed. Now, okay, those of you who have been to India, which I think most of us have been to India, or some of us are from India. There's a few devotees who haven't been to India yet. But in India, when you go there, you go to Vrindavan, you go to Mayapur. There are there's on our Mayapur campus, for example, there's a big sugarcane juicing machine, huge. And there's a devotee there. You go and you pay, and he'll put the sugarcane through, and you'll get some nice juice. Or you're walking around Govardhan, and you'll get some nice juice there. Now, but that machine really does the job. Once you put that sugarcane through, it's just fiber. Really. Now, if someone was to go there and get the fiber and just start chewing on it, you think, oh, this person's lost it. This person's mad. Or a piece of gum, right? Now, those in America who, growing up, everybody knows, right, gum, everybody's experienced. In Russia, one devotee was telling me that when they were growing up, they actually didn't have gum, but it came from America, and really into it. You can't, how can you live without gum? Amazing.
That's why communism collapsed.
Yeah, so you have a piece of gum, and it only lasts so long, a few minutes or something, chew, and then eventually it's just tasteless. There's nothing there, right? So in school, the kids, they'd take it out, put it under their desk, or under their chair. Even now, the big kids in Pacific Beach, if you take a trip down Garnett, you'll see a light pole or pole. It's like one of those electricity. What do they call those? Like a big pole. The wooden ones that all the line. Yeah, telephone pole. So you see a telephone pole, and you just see full of gum. People take it out and put it there. I don't.
Why is a certain pole?
I noticed it on this pole, yeah. I mean, even just walking around Pacific Beach is actually kind of a problem. I don't know what everybody's thinking, but they're like taking their piece of gum and putting it on the sidewalk. It's actually a big problem. It's not good for tourism, but of course the tourists still come. So if you're going to take that sugar cane or that gum and try to get something out of it, that's just it's not intelligent. But this is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. He's saying that materialistic people, they're just trying to chew what has already been chewed. I mean, they're not going to get anything out of it, anything of any substance. They might, work out their jaw or something, but so then why do people do this? Like, why would people do that? And we could say that, yes, it's a state of madness. Nunam pramata kulite vikarma yat indriya priti apranoti nasadamanye yata atmanoyam asanipi klesha asadeha. That Lord Rishabhadev says that certainly those persons are mad who just completely dedicate themselves to the process of sense enjoyment. And in this way they remain entangled and they create further entanglement. Because this karmatmika, this fruit of desires in the mind, this is what pushes one to their next material birth. So we could say it's a state of madness. And Prabhupada makes the point, whether you use your teeth or whether you use machine, you get sugarcane juice. So whatever ways people try to spice things up or glorify things, material sense. I mean, it's the same. It's been the same since time immemorial. It's the same old thing. And there's so many ways of decorating it and perfuming it and doing so many things, but it's just the same. So it's actually a state of like extreme unintelligent envy. And that, okay, I'm just going to keep on trying. And then, okay, what about God? What about Krishna? Okay, well, I don't really want anything to do with them. I'm just going to keep on trying with my materialistic program. Or as that saying goes, I'd rather be a king in hell than a servant in heaven. So people rather be big enjoyers of this world or even in hell than rather go to serve God. And even amongst the religious people, I mean, it's amazing sometimes their conceptions actually of what heaven is. What is that? But Bhajan Song, what do you say? When I get to heaven, I'm going to see those pearly gates. What's that one?
When I get to heaven, I'm going to eat in chops and steaks.
Yeah. So that's people's conception. Okay. Or like there was a famous, extremely famous preacher here in America, and happened to belong to the Christian faith, but he could have belonged to any faith. But anyways, he said that when I get to heaven, I'm going to serve God for 100 years. And then he said, after that, I'm going to enjoy. No. Huge preacher in America. And it's actually surprising that, I mean, it's a very interesting conception. So, I don't know. Myers is saying he's going to play golf up there. What is he going to do? I don't know what he's thinking. So, as followers of Srila Prabhupada, we want to try as hard as we can to dedicate ourselves fully, mind, body, words, everything, to Krishna and to the spiritual master. And in this way we could become, you could say, representatives of him, representatives of Prabhupada, and try to give people the right idea. We have to give people the right idea that who is God, who is Krishna, and what is the spiritual world. And also we have to show people, practically demonstrate to people that you can be happy in Krishna consciousness. You can be happy without engaging in this materialistic program. And in this way, Srila Prabhupada would be very pleased, because practically we see that's what he did. He was the best example, perfect example of giving people the right idea. And also, aside from just giving people the right idea, because people, I mean, we may be able to give the right idea, communicate Krishna consciousness to some degree, but we also have to demonstrate how it works and how one could actually be happy. And in this way, people have a chance of not being completely bewildered by, and you could say, wasting their time in the business of chewing the chewed. So, and this is what will, yeah, like in the Bhagavad Gita, what's that shloka? It says, one who explains this truth to my devotees is most. We have the microphone for, maybe you could give the English translation too.
One who explains this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita to my devotees is very dear to me.
Yeah.
Never be anyone more dear to me than that person.
Yeah, so extending Krishna consciousness as much as we can is very, it's very much appreciated by Krishna, by the spiritual master, and in this particular shloka, Vijay Prabhu said there's no one as dear to him than someone who does that. So, all right, does anybody have any questions or comments? Questions? That was, okay. Yes, Ravi? As one, we have Ravi and Prakash here. So, Ravi is sunshine, right? Sun. And Prakash is the shine. The roommates. Yeah. The sun and the shine. Yeah. So. Interesting, huh? How it works out.
Prabhu, these Gandharvas which Narad Muni is describing, is it, do they actually exist, or it's like Narada Muni is just trying to explain in the allegory story? Just curious.
Well, I mean, the Gandharvas that Narada Muni is explaining or describing, do they actually exist, or is this just allegory? Well, I mean, definitely Gandharvas exist. Now, I don't know, maybe I read somewhere or heard somewhere exactly what they're doing. Does anyone? Okay. So there's a planet, there's all types of activities. Yes, expert at singing and dancing. Okay, the winged singers of heaven. Sometimes Vishnu Jan Swami was said to be like a Gandharva. So they do exist, but does that answer your?
I think I was asking much more specific about this.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's the whole, what we've been reading for, I don't know, how many chapters now? Anyways, quite some time now. It's all Narada Muni speaking to King Prachinubari and describing this whole allegory of, he's actually describing Pranjan, but in this allegory he's trying to wake him up. So Chandavega is the force of time. Yeah, so the days and nights, and there's all types of, Prabhupada's mentioned here, the days and nights, and there's all types of, in this allegory, things that go with that, right? Old age. By Chandavega, the force of time, the body becomes old, and days and nights, right, pass when one's body becomes old. And then there's going to be attack on Chandavega, means death of the body. So, yeah. And then Pranjana, you have some, Dharmesh? Okay. Yes, any other comments about that or questions?
Well, I was just going to say that, and if the devotees remind me, I can send it to you. Some time ago, you were talking about the, foolish and embarrassing ways to die. Mukunda Maharaj sent me it's an animated, I'll say it later on. It's a little animated cartoon. It's got a sketchy little tune, and it says it's called Stupid Ways to Die. And it's all these amazingly stupid things that people have done to die. And what actually is, it's an advertisement from Australia for people who ride the subway and stupid things they've done to be killed on it. And you're watching this thing, and then you find it's actually true. It's stupid. They made it into it's an advertisement. Don't do these things, you idiots, when you're riding. It's by the Mass Transit Society of Sydney or something. So it's only 3 minutes, but it's amazing the stupid things people do, stupid and embarrassing. So I just wanted to confirm your point. It's completely true.
Yeah. Yeah, there was, I don't know if you saw this, Vijay Prabhu, some years ago, but when I first joined, the devotees, there was this commercial, and they took that commercial and they made it Krishna conscious. So in this commercial, what happened was there was this, and all of a sudden it shows this woman in labor. Just like we had our appearance of, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. How do you pronounce the name? Bali? Bali Nilai? Bali Nilai. Yeah, Bali Nilai. Anyways, so in this commercial, the woman's in labor, and then all of a sudden this baby comes out, but doesn't just come out normally, but shoots out.
I got the video of that.
Oh, you do? Okay. Shoots out and keeps on in the air, going, and then it gets older, and boyhood and, youthhood, 20, 30, 40, 50. And then, the body's in it, from the time the baby, because your voice is very high, and it's getting deeper, and he's, and then all of a sudden, right into the grave, right? And then it says, life is short. And devotees made it. Life is short. Distribute books now. So, but what it was before, it was a commercial for Xbox, video games. So it said, life is short. Play Xbox now. Right? So devotees said to shoot books. You reminded me of that. I thought it was, it always stayed in my mind.
I can show it before we show the Ramayana. It's only 2 minutes.
Okay.
The devotees remind me, I'll show it.
All right, good.
I got that one from Jaya Krishna Swami.
Oh, okay.
What are sannyasis doing is good.
All right. Yeah, great. So tomorrow, morning. Okay.
I personally heard Srila Prabhupada talking about birth, old age, disease, and death, say, don't think it won't happen to you. Said it with such force. But although it's an allegory, it's striking home just a few hours ago. A godbrother of ours just passed away.
Yeah.
Yashomati. Yeah, he did. So, take advantage of the time we have in service and sharing Krishna consciousness, because our final test will come soon enough. Yes.
Yeah, this Yashomati Nandana, is it? Yashomati Nandana. I saw him once in Vrindavan. He gave a class. And then recently, devotees have been sending some emails out to pray for him, this and that. But anyway, seeing these pictures, very, a lot, jolly and, bright, it seemed. Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Yes. So, by the way, what happened, he'd already had a stroke, but then he got COVID. And then that the combination of that that's evident what finished him off, But I was mowing the lawn in the Detroit temple, and he pulled up for the first time. His name was Janak Joshi. And we thought he was puffed up, thought he knew everything about everything, Give him a hard time. And he went to New Vrindavan, and he was a young man. He couldn't have been more than 19, 20 years old, something like that. I think he was in college. And we went to New Vrindavan, and he gave us all a hard time, and he didn't want to fast. It was a Kadasi. And then when we arrived in New Vrindavan, somehow or other he got into Prabhupada's room, and he gave Prabhupada a letter that he had written. And Prabhupada liked it so much. It was so philosophically sound and so heartfelt, because he came from a Vaishnava family, Gujarati Vaishnava family, a serious Vaishnava family. And to his own credit. And Prabhupada immediately praised him and said, you should print it and back to Godhead. And you listen to those morning walks in Juhu. Prabhupada was very, very fond of him because he was smart and he was a rock-solid Vaishnava. He was the first. He went to Gujarat. He was the first one. Opened the temple in Ahmedabad, Baroda, opened up all of Gujarat. He was a very, very smart and energetic and powerful preacher. And Prabhupada was very fond of him. So we should say that. Hare
Nice.
Krishna.
Nice. All right, one Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right, Yashomati Nanda Prabhu ki jai. All right. Okay, Srimad Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.